It's failing because you can't be found. In today's live, we're going to be touching on the social SEO and discoverability, a couple of quick wins that you guys can start implementing in your content today to make sure that you're being found on the biggest search engines on the planet, and it's not the one you're thinking of. And the mix of short versus long, how you can best use it, whether you should be going full on into short content, long form content, how to combine the both of them. Again, a couple of quick wins and a couple of tips for you guys to be implementing into your content moving forward. And then touching on authenticity and storytelling. How powerful is it nowadays with the realm of AI? Are we going to start seeing all of this being pushed out by content creators and just solely focused on who can pump out the most content, or the stories? Does authenticity still have its place within the content creation space? And then a final talking point just here, where I've noted it down. Just a couple of current trends, business insight or two that I've learned this week on my journey of growing my social media marketing company, and then just a couple of mindset personal development tips that I've also jotted down during this week. So plenty for us to dive into today. First, let's focus on the SEO side of things. Let's focus on the discoverability. So Google is no longer the biggest search engine on the planet. It's TikTok, it's Instagram, YouTube's metadata. It's places like this where people are going to be finding your content first and faster than ever before. And the best thing is not many people are knowing about it. The amount of captions I see, the amount of search, captions, written captions, and then captions, spoken captions, and then the amount of people that are still flooding 50 to 100 hashtags within the captions, which by the way aren't dead, but we'll touch on that in a minute. People aren't aware of this right now. People are still relying so heartedly on getting all the keywords into Google, keeping up to date with the blog posts, keeping up to date with the content going out on the website all the time, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do. But there's other aspects that you should be hitting, especially when it comes to social media, especially when it comes to getting eyes on your business, on your products, on your service that you want to be selling to your clients online. What better way to do it rather than forcing them to read a 16,000 word essay on a website? Do it quick, 20 second, 30 second video, boom, there you go. And deliver that every single day. Deliver it with the right content inside there, the right amount of things inside of your captions, whether it's spoken, whether it's written. Just keep delivering it, keep giving it to people, so that you're forcing those search engines to put you on display, to show you to the people that you want to be shown to. So as I mentioned, there'll be a couple of quick wins in this for the people that want to start implementing this into their content to optimize their discoverability, to be able to just be found, to be flooded across search engines such as the likes of TikTok, likes of Instagram, likes of YouTube. First, I'm going to quickly touch on hashtags. So, there's a bit of a thing going, or there has been a bit of a thing going for the past couple of months of are hashtags dead? Are they still needed? Do you need to be flooding in 20 to 30 to 40 for it to be effective, or do you need to just be putting in 5? Now, with hashtags, they're not dead. They still have some purpose. They do not have the power that they carried, and we should all know this by now. We should all be knowing that hashtags do not have the power that they used to. Before, you used to see on the likes of Twitter, on the likes of Instagram, they'd be flooded with every trending hashtag possible. Don't need to do that anymore. Do not need to do that. However, what I do want to touch on is you want it to be niche specific. So, for example, if you're targeting the car industry, then yes, you should be including a couple. Again, wouldn't flood it. I wouldn't go over 5, to be completely honest. I wouldn't be going over 5 just in case you risk annoying the algorithm, making it look like you're some spammy post, and it doesn't look clean. Hashtags don't look as clean as what they used to. Sometimes you'll see people who purposely highlight, I've got hashtags down here. This is why I've got 300 of them. Okay, sound. I don't mind those people. But when you scroll through the caption, and then all of a sudden, boom, literally 50 to 100 hashtags. Like, bro, what you doing, man? It'd cost you more time to put that in there than if you just optimise the caption a bit more. So make sure if you're still using them, they are niche specific. They are tailored to the people that you are wanting to target within your content. And then the final one was contextual as well. So don't just be putting car, car one, car two, car three. Make it to do with it. If you're fine tuning a tyre, you could put car, tyre, DIY engineering, something like that, something a bit more entwined with exactly what you're doing. And then that way, when people are searching things and it comes up, it makes sense, because people don't want to be looking for pictures of, you know, Ferraris or something like that, and then you've spammed car into a omelette recipe. It's just not gonna, you're not gonna hit the target that you want. So make sure that you're targeting the niche that you want, and make sure that it's within the context of what you want the content for. So a couple of quick wins that you can start firing into your content. Of course, keywords. Just keywords, keywords, keywords. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't like writing. I'm not the biggest fan of writing. I do where I have to, and I do type a couple of things up sort of here and there to make sure when I want changes, when I want to see things. But of course, most people nowadays get an AI to write a lot of things for them, which is great, but you've got to know how to use it. And you want to be using it with things like keywords within your bio, keywords within your captions, and keywords, funnily enough, within your video scripts. Because AI transcripting will take those keywords and use it as search, use it within the search results. So again, take this with a pinch of salt. Do not go onto your next short video and let's say you're in the coffee niche. Do not go in and do your script, and then at the end you say coffee, 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 to try and boost it or be. One, it's just gonna look crap. But two, it wants to be sprinkled in. You want to get with keywords, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a caption, sprinkle them in. Don't overdo it. Don't make it look like you're trying to spam that algorithm. Just couple in there, throw it in, make it natural. You know, if the word's going to be said, make it so the word's said. It doesn't have to be hammered in the entire time. So make sure you're using those. Again, recommendation to 3 to 5 core niche hashtags. Personally, I don't know using them. I've tested content with them. I've tested content without them. I've tested client content with them. I've tested client content without them. I think that you overthink them more. You just overthink them more, and they look a little bit messy. I had a period, I think it was last week, where I was putting them in sort of every video, every post, just to see. There's not a massive difference. To be completely honest, there's like no difference. So they're not worth stressing over, in my personal opinion. However, you might be in a niche where it's a little bit more reliable, it's a little bit better or more beneficial to be including them. Test, do a week with them, week without them, see if there's any difference in the views and engagement and your discoverability. Take it from there. And then, yeah, the final one is just testing. Just test it on different platforms, because it might work well on the likes of TikTok, but then you could go to Instagram and it not work well, and then you could go to YouTube and it, you know, batter your views. So test it on different outlets, test it on different platforms, test different ones, you know, whether they're top ones. I've always tried to hit, like, when I was using hashtags, I'd always try to hit 3 to 5. I'd always try and get 2 that were like big ones, you know, like most of them now are big, to be honest. Most hashtags that you use, because of how long they've been around, they're in the millions of uses. But I try and get 2 big ones, and then I try and get 3 smaller ones, so around 100k. If I could get like a 10k one, I'd jump on a 10k one, then I'd use that. But as I say, they're not necessary. You can use them, but you don't have to make it an entire thing. You don't have to spend too much time on it ultimately. So it's just double checking this. By the way, guys, if you joined, feel free to say hello in the chat. I'll always shout you guys out. I'll always shout people out whenever they join, because I appreciate you taking the time. Whether it's a minute, whether you stay for the duration, I appreciate you jumping in and, you know, supporting the channel, listening to what I'm saying. So if you do want to drop a hello, that's why I was double checking to see if boom. That's why I knew I was messing something up. I knew I was doing something wrong. I'd hit the chat. See, I've been doing these lives for a while and I still mess up. So I just want to say, you guys are probably left by now, but I want to say hello to Hal Bayton, Harry Babu. I want to say hello to Joe. What's good, brother? I just want to say that I love you and I hope you're having a beautiful day. I love you too, Joe. If you're still here, man, I appreciate it. I'm just shouting these out because, as I mentioned, I had hit the chat like a donut and I didn't see you guys saying hello, and I do not want to be seen to be ignoring you guys, so I'm going to go through. Hal Baton, good day. Naif, Chino Blazer, oh mate, what's up, bro? What's the topic? One like, heck no. So, okay, bro. Chino Blazer, not on it with the likes. James Cappy says hi. I say hi to James. And then Sales, Sailu. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm from India. I am girl. You're so handsome. Thank you. Nice to meet you too. Welcome to the live. Right, there's that. So it will stay there now. So anybody new that joins, anybody that's here and wants to say hello, that is saved to the memory bank. Do not do that again. Moving on to short form versus long form. Now, for quite a while now, short form has been the king. It's been the go-to. It's been the growth maximizer. You post short form. I post insane amounts of short form. I think I'm posting 4 short forms every single day at the moment. It is still, in my opinion, one of the best things to, 1, test your content, and 2, to start growing your audiences, start pitching your sales. I appreciate the sub. Really, I don't want to, I hate saying people's names wrong because I just feel like I'm being a bit of a knob. But thank you, Sailu. I appreciate the sub and I appreciate you taking the time to jump in the chat and watch the live. Really do. So, I love short form content. I think everybody loves short form content. It's massive. It does help massively with growth. It helps people with the confidence speaking in front of the camera. You haven't got to do it for a long period of time. You know, quick 20 seconds, 15 seconds. Some videos are 5 seconds, depending on what format you do. And Ralph. Hi, Ruth. So it is good. I do like short form content. However, it is starting to sort of saturate a little bit. Now, this is going to be a long way off. I'm not saying by any means that within the next couple of months that we're going to see a massive decline in short form content, but it is starting to dip. It has sort of reached the peak of it, and now it's starting to go down because there's so much being put out there. I think YouTube alone, it's 20 million pieces of content that are being uploaded every single day. Now, the percentage of that's long form, short form, I'm not 100% sure, but 20 million pieces of content, 20 million pieces of content. Just get your head around that. So that's per day. So what, within a week, you're talking 100+ million pieces of content. So, of course, like most things, when there's a mass amount of it, when there's so much of it, it's gonna start to dip. But so this is why so many people are saying that long form's making a comeback. Now, I touched on this a little bit last week, but I'll go a bit further into it today. I don't think long form is necessarily making a comeback. I don't think it ever went anywhere. People still consumed long form content. People just were very selective with who they picked the long form content of. You know, Mr. Beast got into long form and then moved on to shorts. Podcasts have been long form since the very beginning. Look, people were still consuming long form content. It's just the amount you could consume 50 reels from 50 different people, whereas long form, you can only really consume maybe 1, 2, 3 pieces a day, and likelihood is you're only going to consume it from one person, maybe 2. So I don't think it went anywhere. I just think people have got to be much more selective because the cost is the time. It's as simple as that. So we'll move on to, so of course, still use your shorts, still use your reels, still use your TikToks as a discoverability tool because you can still optimize the captions, written and spoken. You can still obviously pump loads of it out there. You know, long form content is very difficult, especially if you want it high edited, like a lot of them are now. If you want high edited long form content, as an editor myself, I know how long it can take to get it to the likes of Dan Martell has got loads of editing going on throughout the duration of his videos. Choose the podcast, Diary of a CEO, the introductions, insane. But that takes time. It takes a lot of time. And if you want to pump out loads of content, doing that sort of editing isn't going to be time effective for the amount of views it's going to bring in. Now, to those guys, of course, it is because they probably hit 100k views on a bad day. So it makes sense. They can hire the the YouTube views and monetization that they get probably pays for the editor on its own anyway. So I do understand that side of things. So you can still use it to grow. You can still use it alongside long form. Now, the long forms I'd be hitting personally, and the long form I am hitting personally, is lives. I'd be hitting lives on whatever platform you prefer. So I like YouTube because it stays up on there. I can do the thumbnail, I can do the title. It allows me to practice. I like lives anyway. It's a good way to practice because it's raw, it's uncut. There's no editing. I used to, when I had the podcast a couple of months ago, I used to spend so much time editing because I wouldn't want any or ums or and although it was good to obviously cut out those sorts of things because it boosted retention. It's bad at the same time because you're not practicing your speech then. You have it in the back of your head all the time. I've got the editing. I've got the editing. I've got the editing. I do it all the time with my shorts. If I mess up, I just redo the whole thing or I redo the sentence because you can edit it out. Whereas lives, no, can't do it. Podcast, massive one. Podcast. The best thing is with podcasts, with how YouTube's been updated now, you could do a long form podcast pretty much every single day if you wanted to, for an hour, 2 hours, whatever you wanted to talk on, whatever your audience would be able to digest. And then break it into shorts and then fire the shorts out there, bring people into your podcast, boom. And you've only got to spend a couple of hours a day doing it. It's not a massive investment at all. And these ones build loyalty. They do build that fan base. You know, the people that started from short form content then struggle to get into the long form content. Whereas when you flip it the other way around, the people that started with the long form content and then moved on to shorts after or cut their longs into shorts, they already had that loyalty. They had already built up that fan base. The super fans were with them. So they were the super fans that were watching an hour of their long form videos. Of course, they're going to watch 20 seconds of the short. Why would they not? Why would they not? They're just investing an hour of their time. 30 seconds is nothing. So it definitely boosts. Oh, I got a sneeze coming. It won't let me sneeze. I'm waiting. No, still not on. So as I mentioned, a couple of quick wins for you guys is obviously the repurposing. Is it? Oh, that was painful because of how long I waited for it, but I knew it was there. Right, we got that out of the way and done with. So yeah, it's repurposing. So obviously doing your podcast, cutting it up into shorts. So I mean, the normal podcasts do this anyway now. It's not even like a niche thing. It's just something that everybody's doing. And of course you can do the same as well. And this way it allows you to hit multiple facets, hit multiple formats of content. And if you do the proper repurposing, one long form video. Now I'll just list it for you guys now. If you want to do one long form video a day, one long form, and I'm talking like half hour. This is the areas that you can hit. One long form. Then you break that into shorts. Now you've got shorts for every single platform. Then you take images or graphics from that long form and you turn those into still images. So there's 3 pieces of content. Then you can also take images of the long form that you've done, go into a deep dive on a certain topic, boom, swipe post. Now you've got 4 different types of content. Then of course you can get the transcription from your video and you can turn that into either a long form blog, boom, there's 5, or short form X thread, Blue Sky, whatever you want to go on, post from there. That's 6. And of course these can be repurposed into other facets as well. You can start going and doing stories, you can start going and doing other sort of written posts, you can use an email sequence, whatever you want to do. So if you're smart with it, you can get so much content out of literally just an hour a day. It'll probably take you an hour to record the content and then an hour to maybe an hour and a half to repurpose it into all of the other formats. And boom, you are on your way to, well, just smashing the content out. Content is king after conversions. Conversions is better because conversions makes money. Content is just like views. It's like, oh, views, yeah, it's cool. Paying your rent with views though. This is the thing that I've got to keep that in there though. Got to keep that in there. So that was of course the short versus long form. Just do them both. If you've got the time, do them both. If you're gonna, I always want people to just start. So if you're just gonna start, do shorts because it's less time investment, it's quicker, and you still get to catch up when you're speaking. You'll learn different, technical skills, speaking in front of the camera, editing, music selection, captions, design, that sort of thing. Shorts is good, but if you can do them both, attack them both, and it can be really easy. Exactly what I'm doing in the lives. I can attack long form content, I can attack short form content. I get to improve my speech short form by recording so many short forms, and then I get to improve my speech in long form because I'm doing a live and this is uncut, raw. There is no editing here, and I had to get used to that the first time. And if you go back and watch my very first live, you'll see it and go very much to plan. And these are getting much better now. I'm getting much better. The content, the way that I'm structuring my prompts and my notes and things like that, I get much better. So that leads us onto the final main topic for the social media marketing side of things, which is authenticity and storytelling. Now, This looks like it could be getting pushed out with the amount of AI content that we're seeing. Nobody cares about Timmy and his story about going and finding his dog because, you know, there's a gorilla walking around with a selfie stick punching people. Look, I get it, 100%, I get it. But the problem you've got is if that gorilla then pitches something to you like a product, like an info product or a physical product, how likely are you to purchase it from the gorilla? It's not a gorilla, is he? Is he a Sasquatch? Is he a Bigfoot? I can't remember. He's just the one that I remember from all of the TikTok videos mainly. But the idea is although it's entertaining, and yes, you can still build a following for Bigfoot, it's not going to serve you a purpose. It's not going to build that trust. It's not going to build that relationship with your audience. So it's not necessarily about everything being polished and being squeaky clean. You can actually see this with ads. They've done some research now and basically found that the sort of over-polished ads are getting swiped past a lot more than the ones that actually feel authentic, you know, like a shaky iPhone or someone falling over or something that actually looks like an ad. If it's too clean, it's not real. If it's not real, then how do you trust it? Whereas when it seems real, when it seems authentic, when you can see that people are actually meaning what they're saying and they've got genuine belief in something, we sense that as humans, we sense it. Although we might not be able to tell 100% of the time who's lying, who's not lying, there's still something there. There's that little bit of a... You ever had a conversation with somebody and you thought, have you really done that, mate? Or, you know, whatever sort of situation it is. As humans, we have that, and we'll sense that in ads, we'll sense that in anything that we're being pitched. So it's good to, even though sometimes it looks clean, and I do like some polished videos, they look nice. They just, you know, if you ever watch something, you're just like, oh, that was wicked. It just went really smooth, almost like a James Bond film. Everything was just smooth and love it. But in terms of buying something, in terms of actually building that trust, it's the imperfections that will make it. It's the imperfections that make it that build that character from the video. So just keep that in mind. So a couple of key insights from these is your audience will be craving that relatable, imperfect, human, big emphasis on human moments. Everything done through AI, even though I know what some of you are going to say, oh, but it looks a bit jittery. It does look a bit jittery, but we know it's AI because they're telling us it's AI, because they have to tell us it's AI. So that imperfection doesn't really help. It's imperfections of, say if I screw up on camera now, you guys know I'm human, because AI wouldn't talk like this, it wouldn't change it up, it wouldn't mess up probably, to be completely honest with you. It builds that human connection. It allows people to see that you're actually a real person just like them. So don't think that everything's got to be squeaky clean all the time. Don't over edit, don't over produce. You can just put things out raw, and what's the worst that's gonna happen? Do you know what I mean? What's the worst that's gonna happen? So don't overthink it. Just do it. Just do it. Just record that video, put it out there. See, you never know. You never know. You might have such an incredible personality that people are just like, yo, I've got to watch this. I've got to watch these. And ultimately, consistency is going to be the biggest thing. I need to move off of this one, but consistency is going to be the biggest thing. The more you do, the more you practice, the better you're going to get with it. The better you're going to get in front of the camera, the better you're going to get at editing, the better you're going to get at being able to run through the script the first time rather than having to do 3 or 4 takes and then chopping them up. I used to hate that. I used to hate it. Now I just try and do one. I just think one take. I need to repeat it in my head before I click record. I'm like, one take, boom. And then I mess up 3 times. But I try. I do try. Now, storytelling frameworks is similar to short form videos. So you've got hook, struggle, lesson, and action. You always want there to be some sort of action or some sort of reward at the end, because then you're rewarding people for watching the content or listening to the story. You know, it could be a valuable lesson. It could be telling them to go and do something, say like purchasing a product and they get X amount % off. It could be giving them a free lead magnet, like an infographic, or some sort of insight onto how they can get the same results. You know, basic round your content. But if you're telling a story about how you're a gym owner and somebody come in for the first time and you managed to train them, get them down to the weight. This was the struggle that he had because he had tried so many different weight loss programs and he couldn't work out because time commitments, but you overcome it by doing these. Action at the end could be go and sign up to my free newsletter and use code Jeff38, because Jeff was 38 when he come to us, and you will get 20% off any supplements that you go through. No, look, things like that. Use the storytelling, make it flow, and again, just keep testing things out. And what I'd emphasise, or what I'd suggest for you guys to do this week, is just go and share one personal story from yourselves this week. It can be business related, it can just be a personal thing that you've done, it could be social media related. Just go and share something personal that you wouldn't usually do, just to overcome it, because once you do it once, you'll get used to doing it, and it gets easier, and it gets more... One, it gets easier, and two, you get better at delivering it. So first couple of times you record in front of the camera, you guys will know, you start stumbling, you start muttering, you start thinking, and you'll have certain leaning, what do they call it? Crutch words, I think it's called. Another word that you repeat constantly, and you will not realise it until you see yourself on camera, you're reviewing the footage, and you're like, I didn't realise I said this word so many times. I've got one, but I can't remember what it is now. I think I've pushed it away from my mind. I don't want to remember it, because if I remember it, then I'll start saying it. And when I start saying it, I'll start kicking myself, because the whole reason I've tried not to remember it is so I don't say it. So the other sort of talking points and non-social media related content points I wanted to touch on just for the last 5 minutes of this live is a couple of current trends. So TikTok's new search ad placements. Will they replace Google ads? I don't feel like Google's going to get replaced completely. I think they've got way too big of a hold. People are still, always still use Google here and there for a lot of search results when it's a quick thing, because the problem with ChatGPT, and I don't know if they'll solve this later on down the line, but the problem with ChatGPT is if I want to search a quick question in ChatGPT, it starts to chat and then it messes up my GPT. So when I jump on it on my laptop or on my phone, I've got all these chats because I wanted to find out how many dogs are on a Dalmatian. And I just wanted a quick answer, but now it's got a chat open, and it's got another chat open, another chat. So if they can find a way to flip that round, maybe there's a toggle option, or maybe there's a quick search option of where it just gives you a quick answer to what you're doing, then great. Because Google doesn't do that at the moment. Google, you put a search in, and then if I click, especially if you're on iPhone, I put a search in, I search it, and then if I click back on the Safari tab, it'll just let me put another search. I don't have a separate chat for every single search thing I've ever put into Google. So I don't necessarily think Google's going to come and fully get replaced by the likes of TikTok, by the likes of ChatGPT just yet. It's got a massive monopoly on the market, and they're very quick. They're not going to mess around. They're not going to be sat there twiddling their thumbs thinking, oh, we'll just wait until we're irrelevant. Like, they're not going to do that. Not Bing. So I don't see it just going completely. Now, a quick business insight I wanted to touch on was, how should brands decide between investing in short form and long form? Now, I'd spoken on this a little bit earlier on in the live, but I'll go on to it now. Personally, this is going to depend on your content production level. Now, if you have never produced content whatsoever under any way, shape or form, I would focus on testing a short, a single image and a swipe post, and just posting a rotation of those three every single day. That's where I would start if I was going to produce it all myself and I had no ways or means, because you've got to learn. So you've got to learn those sorts of things, and they're multifaceted skills, because once you know how to do still image, you can do stories. Once you can do swipes, you can turn them to videos, and etc, etc. That's where I'd start as a very beginner. Now, if I'm a little bit more advanced and I've been posting content for a couple of months, I know how the platforms work, and how to make a video, and how to do this and this and that, or we would be investing minimal 2 to 3 long forms per week. And when I say long forms, I'm talking 10 minutes. I would said to myself, yeah, these lives are going to be like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And it turns out more than likely now, I end up hitting half hour every single time, because I just like talking to myself, to be honest. I like talking to myself in front of a camera, because then I feel less crazy. This is what it really is. So that's what I'd be doing. That's what I'm doing personally, is I'm doing 2 lives per week, and then I'm smashing shorts to an insane level. But I have been creating content for over a year personally, and then coming up to 3 years if you include like faceless accounts and that sort of thing, and other affiliate programs that I was involved in. So that's my stance. I would be putting some time. If you've got a bit of experience and you're okay with doing shorts and you're okay creating content, I'd be putting a bit of time into long form. How much time you want to put into it is obviously going to depend on yourself, but I do think long form is going to start. It's more touch points. The problem is even if I release 10 shorts a day, the most that's going to get to is 10 minutes. If I make every single one of them 59 seconds, it's 10 minutes. If I make a long form video every single week and they're 30 minutes or 45 minutes per one, and I make 2 of them, I'm already getting more exposure than all of those shorts combined for the whole week. And bearing in mind, 10 shorts every single day is a lot. It is a lot. Whereas if you're smart with your long form content, it doesn't have to be like that. So that would be something I'd be focusing on. I would be implementing long form. Now, why? This is a little mindset slash personal development one that I got asked a bit earlier. Why is vulnerability so powerful in content creation? Because you can allow it to be exposed. You are not going to be perfect all the time. You're not going to know absolutely everything, and you shouldn't pretend to. You shouldn't pretend that you know how to do everything within your skill or niche if you've just started out, because you're still going to be testing, you're still going to be learning, and you can be honest about that. Now, of course, if you're going to try and sell your skill or sell your service or whatever it is, then yes, you should have more experience than most. But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be within that top 20 to 10 to 1%. I think it's something along the lines of, if you spend 40 hours investing time into research, you're already in the top top 80 or top 20%, because nobody spends that time. If you spent 20 hours a week or an hour a week learning the guitar for the next, it's like 6 months, you'd be ahead of pretty much like 80% of the population, because nobody invests the time, because there's so many things to choose from. So if you invest into AI for 40 hours a week or 20 hours a week, but you stay consistent, you invest into social media, you invest into video editing, you invest into marketing, you are going to be better than most people out there, because most people just won't do it. They won't go into it. And especially because once you start something, you realize how many different aspects it has. So marketing isn't just marketing. It's not just getting always onto things. It's obviously got things like editing. It's got things like psychology. It's got things like collaborations. It's got things like scripts and AI. And there's so many different facets to it that you've got loads to learn. So don't think just because you're not the perfect or the best. I made this mistake. I thought I wasn't going to make content about myself until I was a millionaire. And then it sort of turns out, well, if I want to become a millionaire, well, when I become a millionaire, I'm going to have to have a personal brand, because personal branding with the likes of AI is the biggest thing to hit. So, and that's what I'd say to all people growing a personal brand, to all businesses out there, is be growing every single day, be posting some form of content, get yourself in front of your clients, your audience, your potential customers every single day in some way, shape or form, because it's just going to benefit you. You're better off having more touch points along the way. If somebody's thinking of buying something on Sunday from a flower shop, it's going to be better that they've seen you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday as they come to make a purchase, they think, oh, I know, I saw a video of this, or I saw a post of this, or that bouquet looked nice, etc., etc. You don't know when people are going to be in the mood for something like that. So keep gunning it home, and before you know it, you'll be the go-to person. You'll be the go-to person, because that's how much people, because so few people are investing that time into it. So if you just decide you're going to do it, you're going to spend 20 hours focusing on this, you'll blow everybody out of the water. So, excuse me, just a quick recap on what we touched on today. So we obviously focused on the social media SEO, discoverability, new ways you can get yourself discovered on social media, and a couple of tips and quick wins that you can start implementing. Short form versus long form, which one's the best? Me personally, I think both. I think we should all be targeting both in one way, shape or another. Authenticity and storytelling, is that still important? And what makes a good ad? What makes a good brand? And ultimately it's authenticity, because you can, if I make an hour video and you make an hour video, they might be slightly different, but ultimately we're going to have to use similar sort of wording to get it made. So show yourselves, tell your story, be authentic about it, and show people exactly who you are. And then of course just the final talking points we just touched on then was a couple of current trends that are going on at the moment. What's the best thing to invest in if you're a brand right now, short form versus long form? Personally, I'd say both, but if you're very new to content, go for short form. It's quick, it's easy, and you're gonna pick up a lot of skills. And then the mindset is why is vulnerability so powerful when it comes to content creation. So that has been the live this week. Got nobody watching at the moment, but I still want to say I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I appreciate everybody that spoke in the chat. I obviously messed up this time because I had hit the chat, so when people were joining, I couldn't say hello and engage. So note for next time: don't hold the chat like a donut. But I'd still just want to say thank you to everyone that tunes in, anybody that likes the video, anybody that comes into the chat. Even if you spend 10 seconds just watching my mug talking on live, it is genuinely appreciated. I am doing these 2 times a week. It's looking like they're Tuesdays and Fridays between sort of 7 and 9, depending on how much I've got to get done prior to jumping on the live. But we're just going to keep pushing it. They might switch up, they might change. Of course, it's not like we're blowing up with insane numbers at the moment, so I'm literally just going to keep putting them out there, keep putting them out there, keep putting them out there, and if we find a day that all of a sudden is like, whoa, that's the day we've got to do it, then we'll take it from there. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.